Vallabh Vidyanagar. Sir's main area of research include high energy physics, computational physics as well, theoretical particle physics. Also, sir has completed a major research project as well as has collaborated with JINR also, and has been recipient of awards from DST for JRF and SRF as well. Also, sir has conveyed a large number of talks and refresher courses at various universities and colleges. And also last STTP also sir had given a nice lectures and introductory part as well as details on Mathematica. So it is pleasure to have you this time also. So over to you, sir, Pandya sir.
Okay, thank you, Chandni. And the first thing I would like to ask is how many of you are actually acquainted with Mathematica? I mean, how many of you are already using Mathematica by in some or the other way? Okay, how many
Participants
of
can raise
yeah,
hands
you
and
can raise your hand or something like that, so that depending on that thing, I can decide in what way we should start and move forward. Okay,
other students
so
kindly respond.
kindly respond to this question. How many of you? Okay, fine, just the basics. Okay, uh, around 4 5 students have some exposure to Mathematica, or some of them are using it as well, right? Uh, okay, fine. How many of you have heard of Mathematica? Just heard of it. That okay, there is something called Mathematica, and it might be different than MATLAB or anything else. Okay. So, does that mean that more than half of you have not heard of it? Is it
Sir,
so?
I
Yeah.
can heard of it, and even in a see can see it, but and not use it, sir.
Okay, fine, fine. So what I will do is
Sir,
I will try
actually,
to cover basics of Mathematica, right? And then I think as it develops, we will be deciding in what way we can go with that, right? Okay. So what I'll do, why
Uh, Sir,
I'm not
so
allowed to stop, share the screen or something? Why?
sir, I think
It
it
is
will be allowed.
it is not allowing me to
सर आपकी स्क्रीन
share
शेयर
my
हुई थी
screen. Yeah.
Sir, I shall
In
check
fact,
once. I think.
yeah, yeah. In fact, it allowed me just once, but then it told me that you cannot share your screen or something. Now that sharing button is also disabled or something. I don't know what is it.
Sir,
Yeah.
yeah, so I request that you leave the meet and rejoin, then it might be
Yeah, yeah,
possible.
sure, 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 sure. Let me do that.
Sir, now it is visible. Sir, your microphone is off. We are not able to hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, okay, fine. So what I will try is, shall I turn off my video, because otherwise it might be taking a lot of bandwidth for some people, right? I'm just stopping my video. Later on, we can turn it on when we discuss something. Fine? Is that fine? Okay.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir.
So, yeah. So now, for those who have heard of Mathematica, let us just have a brief, what we can say, conversation about what are your understanding of Mathematica. What is your understanding of Mathematica for those who have heard of it?
Sir, I would like to say, sir, like I have just started using a few weeks ago, but so far I'm just using some basic mathematical functionalities and trying to learn new things. So I'm not
Fine.
fully aware that what all I
That is
can
fine.
do
That is
using
fine.
Mathematica.
But see, why this is important for us, the reason is that until and unless I know at what level you are in this software, we cannot go further properly, right? So
Yes.
if basics are not clear, then it won't be of any use to move forward for advanced problems. So we can
Yes.
start with basic things, and then later on we can build upon that part, right?
Yes. Yes. Sure.
So okay, according to your understanding, uh, how Mathematica is different from, say, MATLAB, for example? Because MATLAB you have just learned for even 5 lectures, right? So maybe MATLAB you are more acquainted with, and MATLAB is much more popular with compared to Mathematica as well. So what is the difference according to your understanding between Mathematica and MATLAB? If you feel that there is some difference. Definitely, there will be advantages as well as disadvantages for such kind of softwares. Actually, these are called packages. They are not like languages like Fortran and C and other things, right? But they are built on C++ or something. In fact, Mathematica and MATLAB both are actually built in C++. Yeah, those who already know that there is something called Mathematica, what is your take? What is your understanding? How it is different from MATLAB?
Sir, in a Mathematica, we can do the symbolic calculation.
Okay, so you say that there is symbolic computation possible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else? So one point is symbolic computation. Then anything else? Okay, let us do one thing. In fact, this is one full presentation on this thing, and I'll be sharing the whole thing with you. But initially, we'll be going through this presentation for maybe few slides, and then later on, we'll be directly jumping into the Mathematica interface itself, so that you can actually have a feel of what exactly it is and how it works. Okay. Now, the first thing that we need to understand is that what are the places where you get information and references regarding Mathematica. In fact, you can get many sample codes as well as different references for Mathematica, right? These are all actually clickable links which I'll be sharing with you. Now, this is one thing that is very important, that they already provide what you can say, a full set of what you can say, reference notebooks. I'll just tell you what is notebook. Normally what happens is, whenever we are dealing with, say for example, you are doing a code in MATLAB, okay? So you have written a file, and that file is, let us say that file is, say, test.m. Okay. Now what this test.m does is, it holds your code together, right? There is a code typed in this test.m, and once you run that code, you will be getting some output and other things. Now, for example, you have written this code, and there is one graph output coming out of that. Okay. So there is a code. Okay, there is a code, and then once you run that code, you are getting in a separate window. I'm talking about MATLAB, for example, because MATLAB you are already acquainted with, right? So once you have run this code, you are getting this particular graph, say for example, as a separate window. And now, after you close your this test.m, and after you close your this figure file, whichever has come. Now, for example, by chance you have not saved this figure file at all, right? This figure file you are not saved, and you are still and probably the code was such that it took almost, say, 10 minutes to run that code. Okay, after 10 minutes of running, that code gave you this particular file as output, and you close this thing without saving it, right? And you close your code also. Of course, code you are saving, fine. But next time when you really want to see, okay, what was the output of my code, what should you do? You have to run the code again. You will be again waiting for 10 minutes, and then you will be getting this as the output, right? Now, normally when you talk about, say, a regular notebook which we use in our regular day-to-day use, right? In notebook, what happens? We are defining a problem somewhere, right? So there is a question and there are answers. Okay. So once we have written something in a notebook physically, then definitely those questions as well as answers are available to us. Okay. In MATLAB, when you are writing a code and then you are running it, output is a separate thing altogether. Output, if you don't specifically save, that output won't be directly available to you, right? What is available to you is, of course, the code that you have written. Okay. But in Mathematica, whatever you have written as your question, that means your actual code, whatever answer comes because of that thing, right? Then there can be a next question, there can be a next answer, there can be n number of questions, there can be n number of answers, there can be some help you might have asked for it. Say, for example, if you want to learn about one particular function, that I don't know what is the syntax of that function, and I want to get the answer to that, or I want to get the help from Mathematica, that what will be the syntax of that particular function. Everything which you are doing in one session will be stored in something called a notebook, right? Notebook. And that is why they use this word notebook, because in notebooks, normally we have question as well as answer saved together. In fact, in that case, there is no question of saving, you are already writing it there. Okay. So the very big difference between these two interfaces is, first difference is this, that whatever you are giving in an input and whatever you are getting as an output, all the things are saved in your notebook. So your Mathematica code is not just a single program. It can be a large number of programs with large different outputs stored together in a single file. So once you are working in a particular problem, you can literally use this thing as a notebook. Even you can add notes also there. I'll be showing you how to do those things. So for example, if I really want to design a full course on Mathematica, right, then I can create a notebook, and then you can work on that notebook, and those notebooks can always be computable anytime when you want. In fact, Mathematica already provides such notebook. I'll be showing you that notebook also. Okay. So the basic difference between the files is that in MATLAB or any other programming environment, you are having the source code saved. But the moment you want that, I want to see what is my output, you have to run the code again, right? Or if you have saved it, you should have some idea of your own that, okay, this is the output of my code, and this is how I put them together. You have to manually put them in some folder together or something like that. Okay. So this is a set of large number of notebooks, right, which they are providing. I have already downloaded it. I'll show you from where, what are the things that can come with that. Okay. So that is one thing. These are some introductory, what you can say, information about Mathematica. You can also use something known as Wolfram Cloud Service, and this particular service is free to use, right? Of course, Mathematica is a proprietary software, and you need to have a license to use that thing. Okay, but if you want, you can really use it for free also if you have access to this Wolfram Cloud. And for that thing, what you need to do is you have to simply go there and register yourself with some email ID, and then you can straight away save your work there. You can run there. Another important thing is that you can use their computing facilities for free. Okay, so sometimes it happens that you might have written a code which is quite heavy for your laptop or your computer, but probably it can use their hardware and it can give you some output which is of some use to you, right? So you can do that as well. Okay. And okay, these are some basic ideas that in what way you can start with Mathematica and so on. You can also have an application in your Android. Okay, you can also have an application in your iOS. Fine. What you can do there is you can simply type your queries, or you can write your code, and it will, when you try to run that code, it will use their hardware and again throw back a solution to you. So there is something called Wolfram Alpha. It will be coming in the coming up slides also. So that Wolfram Alpha is something which you can use in both the things, right? Wolfram Cloud is also available for free in both the interfaces. Mostly people are using either Android or iOS. Okay, so they are available for free, and you can use this cloud-based services for free without any problem. Okay, now when we talk about Mathematica, of course, these are some just informative stuff that this can be useful in many other cases and many fields. You have large number of books available for that and so on. So those things I'm not going into that, right? Initially, there were something called reduce and maxima. Maxima spelling is little different than actually maxima when we typically type. Okay, so these softwares were basically used for something called symbolic computation. Now, anybody can tell me what is symbolic computation for you? What do you mean by that? What is symbolic computation? What is it? Any idea? Somebody told in the beginning also that the Mathematica can do something called symbolic computation. What do you really understand by that? What is it? Yeah, anybody? See, these symbolic computations were done initially using this reduce and maxima. Then in second generation, there came something called Maple, which is still available. And the next generation is definitely Mathematica. Of course, MATLAB also has got a package which can do symbolic computation, but it has got a large number of limitations as well, right? So when you really want to do symbolic computation, you have to use Mathematica. It will come automatically at the end of maybe 2 or 3 slides that what do you really understand by symbolic computation if you have not heard of it. Now, symbolic computation or symbolic calculations, for example. Okay, so most important thing is that, for example, suppose if I say that I want to do a plus b whole square. A and b values are not known to us. Okay, if I give this thing as an input, does MATLAB directly give you this thing? Yes or no? A and B are not known to you.
No, sir.
Does MATLAB give this output?
No, sir.
While Mathematica can. Okay, and it is just an example. You can go with this also. A plus B raised to 3 by 7 as well. It will do it somehow and it will give you some answer. And these are some basic things. Many other such analytical computations are very, very possible, and we will be seeing many cases like that. So whenever you are doing something which is analytical in nature, remember, when you are using MATLAB, you have to somehow convert your code in such a way that your final output is in terms of numbers only. While in Mathematica, your final output can be an expression. The most basic difference is this, right? Here your input is a plus b square. So that output is this thing irrespective of what is a and what is b. Okay. If you want to do this thing in MATLAB, the only thing you can do is you have to provide what is a value, you have to provide what is b value, and then it will be giving you what is this a plus b whole square. But most important thing is they give you only numbers. As far as MATLAB is concerned, you have to deal with numbers only. So sometimes you might be dealing with a problem which is not directly available to do numerically, right? Suppose, for example, if you really want to solve some set of equations, then with very simple syntax, you can solve that thing in Mathematica without any problem, right? There are many other things which are not possible in other popular software like MATLAB. Of course, here there is no direct comparison between Mathematica and MATLAB as far as functionalities are concerned. Of course, if you are really doing something which is numerical in nature, in many cases, MATLAB will be performing much better than Mathematica. While in other cases, Mathematica will be performing better, right? Depending on what kind of problem you are dealing with. If you are dealing with large matrices, obviously MATLAB will be working better. But if your matrices contain some unknown variables and you want that unknown variable has to finally come in my output, then definitely MATLAB is not the way to go. You have to go with Mathematica, right? So now, for example, let us do a very simple, let us have a very simple understanding. No doubt, initially I will be going with these slides, then later on we'll be jumping directly into the Mathematica interface. And I would like that the session becomes or session remains interactive, right? Because if it is not interactive, you will not be gaining anything out of this. Fine. So, for example, suppose you have got this kind of problem. You are supposed to solve this thing. Obviously, we can do this thing using our regular analytical skills. There is nothing very special about this integral. But suppose if I want to ask a computer to do this thing. So if you really want to use MATLAB with this, what should you do? Definitely, you have to use a for loop. You have to go with Simpson 1/3 rule or something like that. And then finally, you will be getting an answer. In Mathematica, your input is like this. And input is like this means literally it is like this. You are typing it this way, right? The way you are writing, say, equations in Word, you can write equations in Mathematica. And most important thing is, it will be directly giving you this as an output. This is input, this is output. That's it. There is no other step needed as far as Mathematica is concerned. And for that matter, even if I don't write this 0 and 5, it will give me x cubed by 3 plus c without any problem. That means it can do symbolic calculations as well as it can do numerical. Fine. So if you want to do this thing in MATLAB, even if it is a numerical thing, there is no direct function available in MATLAB which can do this thing. And this is just a beginning. You are just trying to see that, okay, this can do this kind of integration. But even if you go with a very much complicated stuff, and if it is a numerical integration, Mathematica can handle it very nicely. There are inbuilt mechanisms available which will adapt a very proper numerical integration method and automatically give you this thing. You can even choose a mathematical method which will be doing the integration for you. I'll show you that thing practically, right? So this is the first difference that comes in picture. Okay, that you are having a symbolic input and it can give you a symbolic output as well without any problem. Then, for example, suppose if I want to do sine square x, okay, so using MATLAB, how do you do this thing? In fact, it is not possible. It is not possible. Why? Because there is no limits given to this thing. While if you provide this thing as an input in Mathematica, it will give you this thing as an output without any issue. Right? This is the power of Mathematica. So whenever you are using symbolic computation, whenever your requirement is symbolic in nature, then definitely you have to go with Mathematica. No doubt. There are, for example, as far as MATLAB is concerned, right, you have got something called Octave. In fact, MATLAB codes you can directly run in Octave. While in Mathematica, there is no such directly available thing. But then there is something called SageMath. Right? This Octave is also open source and free. MATLAB is proprietary, of course. Mathematica is proprietary. Octave, just like Octave, you have got something called SageMath. SageMath. But definitely, I will be touching up SageMath if we get chance. But SageMath is not as, what you can say, user-friendly as Mathematica is. Right? So typically people go with Mathematica when they want this kind of computations in their research. Okay. And of course, we cannot say that we will be always using something which will have numerical inputs and numerical output, and definitely many other things are done in between. But your final output may or may not be numerical in Mathematica. Okay. This does not mean that Mathematica does not work for numerical things. It does that also. Fine. Okay. Now, this is just a history of Mathematica. This is the person who created Mathematica long back, right? And in fact, I have been using Mathematica since it was Mathematica 1.0. It was DOS-based Mathematica, right? And nowadays, the latest edition of Mathematica is 12. Okay. Now, this is the typical user interface. Now, probably from this point onward, or maybe after 2-3 slides, I'll be directly jumping into the Mathematica interface itself. So there are certain things that you need to know. There is something called cell brackets. There is something called cell insertion bar as far as this interface is concerned. Okay. Suppose if I am writing something, this is a notebook for me. So let me directly jump into Mathematica. Say we are here. Okay. So, okay. Oh, I am using a pen, so it is giving me this option. Let me check this one. Okay, so this is your basic Mathematica interface, right? What you need to do is you have to simply start typing something. For example, suppose if I say x is equal to 2, let me increase this thing so that you can see it properly. Is it visible now? Or this is better?
Yeah, it's better, sir.
Okay. So suppose if I am writing x equal to 2, for example, if I write x equal to 2 and press enter, nothing is going to happen, right? Because in Mathematica, what is important is you have to, I'll be using this one for shift plus enter. Okay. Please ignore all these things. I'm just trying to give you, I'm trying to use this interface for our scribbling. Okay. So shift plus enter is the thing to go with. So suppose if I'm writing x equal to 2, it won't be understanding anything. If I write x equal to 2, shift enter, then it will be giving me. Now you try to understand this, what you can say, this interface. This is telling me that this is my input 1 and this is my output. Okay. Now if I say y is equal to 5, and then if I press enter, it is going to the next line. I am writing z is equal to 6. It is again going to the next line. It did not do anything. But now if I press shift enter, it will be giving me 2 outputs. Now, suppose if I keep a semicolon here, that means it will assign a value 5 to y, but it will not display it here. Okay, while it will display z. So you can see here. Now, one thing is very important. You can see this is in 1, this is out 1. This is becoming now in 4. Actually, it should be in 3, right? But why it is in 4? Because I edited in 3 and then I ran it again. So now it is next entry in 4. And this is out 5 because one output was, earlier there were 2 outputs. Now there is only one output. Okay. So, and once I have this thing, that means my x, y, and z values are already stored in my system. So now if I write that x plus y plus z, press enter, it will be giving me some output. Okay. So typically this is the way you assign values to any variable. Same thing as you are doing in MATLAB. Okay. But as I already told you, this is a notebook. That means you can see this is my input, this is my output. And once I save this notebook, automatically all input, output, everything is automatically stored in this one. Okay. Another thing that we need to understand is, suppose if I want to use this thing as a notebook now, in typically notebook, or even if you are writing a very good program, there are multiple ways of doing it. For example, suppose if I want to say that, okay, the following program, so it is written in this way, the following code is written to solve differential equations, right? Suppose if I'm writing like this thing, now you can identify that what I have done is I have written this thing between star, bracket, and star. Okay. So if it is between bracket and star, it automatically means that that is something which will not be processed by Mathematica when you run the code. Okay. So they are basically comments. ये commented line हो गया, right? So comments are between this and this. Okay, your comments are between these two things. Yeah, here whatever you write, obviously it is not going to be read by Mathematica. Okay, so this is one thing. Now suppose if I want that, okay, I want to write down some notes as far as my code is concerned. There are some notes available to me which will be written here. So in that case, what should I do? I will be adding here, and now you can see here there is something called free form, there is something called external input language, there is something called plain text, and many other things. Okay, so let us say I am writing free form input. So free form input means if I write x plus y, right? Just this is different. Okay, it is accessing the server. Okay, fine. Yeah. So what it does is it did not use my computer for that thing. It simply added x and y, and then it gave me the output here, right? So that was a free form thing. But suppose if I want to add text, plain text, so I can write plain text here. So this is a sample plain text in between my code. I can write it this way. So whenever I am executing this Mathematica notebook, it will not be reading this thing. This is simply something which is not going to be executed when you try to type it. So you can have it this way also. So normally what people do is they prepare a notebook with notes and codes, everything together, and finally you can have this kind of thing. Okay, so this is one thing that you can do. You can add text, you can add free form, you can add Wolfram Alpha query. Wolfram Alpha query means this is something which is basically normally done from your phone. Okay, in your phone you have got Wolfram that I write in Mathematica start with a capital letter, right? In plot, it is compulsory that this plot P has to be capital, sign has to be capital, all arguments are written in this square brackets. You cannot use square bracket for your regular text, right? That means suppose if I want to write down something like this, that this is x plus y times a plus b square, then this is not the way we can do that, right? It cannot be written this way. Fine, this is not allowed. Okay, but as far as our brackets are concerned, the moment I want to use any kind of bracket, I will be using only these brackets. There is no other option available. We have to use these brackets only as far as our basic calculations are concerned. So suppose if I am writing this thing, if I press shift, okay. Another thing is that we have got this thing. See, I have given range of x because I am writing plot and this thing. Now, suppose if I want to do the same thing in MATLAB, what should I do? I have to generate sin x values. I have to give a range of x in some steps, right? And then I will be plotting it. So basically, at least 3-4 lines I will have to type when I want to do this thing in MATLAB, right? I have to define a function called sin x. I have to give a range of x, right? And then finally I will be plotting that with this. Okay, So ultimately, I'll be writing at least 3 lines when MATLAB is used for this purpose. And here you can see I have not used any step size or anything here. If I press Shift Enter, it will be directly giving me this answer without any problem. Okay. So, and it can be anything complicated as well. Okay. Suppose if it is sin x, you can tell that, okay, it is exponent, say x this way. Remember, if I'm not writing star here, then also Mathematica takes this as an multiplication. Okay. So suppose if I click this one, I'll be getting this kind of answer. For example, if I want to write this thing in terms of, say, I want to divide this thing by x square, what did I do? I selected that thing and pressed control plus this thing, right? जो आपके शिफ्ट के बटन के बाजू में होता है ना, फॉरवर्ड स्लैश. Okay, I press this thing to get it here, and then I am writing, say, x square. How did I write this x square? I press control plus cap key, which comes on 6, without, of course, without shift or anything. Control plus 6, you can say. In fact, it should be written control plus 6, so it will be straightforward. Okay, so this is something which we can do, and then again I can plot it without any effort. Okay, so this is one thing. Another thing, suppose if I want to go for a 3D plot. Now, for example, I have written this code. I have written this particular say command. I want to repeat that command, so I will just put Control L. Sorry, what was that? Control C. Let me put it this way. Between the versions, they might be changing certain shortcuts as well. I think so. Okay, so what you have is, say, for example, exponent x. Now let me have here y. So automatically your graph now becomes 3D graph. So what should you do? Write plot 3D. Okay. Now whenever you write plot 3D, now you have to understand one thing, that when I am typing something, it is suggesting me some functions as well. Okay, I'll show you how to get help from Mathematica as well. So x is like this, and obviously when I'm giving y here, I have to give range for y as well. So I will be giving y also, say, from -pi to pi. Now, if I want to type actual pi symbol here, then also it is possible. I'll be writing escape p escape. So it will be giving me pi. So now it gives a feel that, okay, this is actually pi. One has to understand this pi also, when I'm writing it in P capital and I small, right? So this is something which we can do. If you want, you can even insert these symbols from palettes which are given to you, right? So you can see that there are palettes given. For example, this is the palette which you can use for basic input forms. Okay, it is just like as if you are using a kind of equation editor in Word, and it will be working for you. You can see how many things are available straight away. Okay, so let us try to run this thing. See, this is the output. This is the output of the form that we use. Now, when we have this kind of thing available, okay, what we are doing is we can always change the properties of this thing. For example, I can tell that grid, or sorry, mesh, and then none. Mesh none means obviously you can work out that, okay, that mesh which was seen on this thing is now no more. I don't want that thing. Suppose if I want to change this thing to 2 pi, I can do that as well without any problem, right? So this is the thing that one has to understand. When I'm writing plot 3D, I am giving a function of my choice, right? Let us say instead of this x square, let us put this thing. It will be giving me something else as well, right? And then I can do this thing. Okay. Now, suppose if I want to do an integration. So there are two ways we can do that. One thing is obviously you are writing integrate, then you are writing sine x, then control 6 square. So this is sin x square means sin square x in the way we want. Okay. And then I want to integrate this thing with respect to x. So when I do this thing, automatically what it does is it is going to, what has happened? Okay. Now anybody can tell me what is the issue here? What is the problem? I asked the Mathematica to do this integration and it is giving me this kind of error. Anybody can tell me what is the issue with this? It is directly evident as such. Yeah. What is the problem with this input? I gave the input like this. This was my input. And the output turned out to be something like this with some error maybe.
Sir, earlier
What
the
is the issue?
input of x was 2, x equals to 2.
Yeah. See, our system has got some value for x. So x is no more a variable as far as our overall session is concerned. So there are two ways you can do this. One thing is you can clear the value of x and then run this thing again. Right. For example, I can do this thing. X is equal to dot and then enter. X equal to dot means whatever value is assigned to x, you simply clear it. That means x is now no more a number for me. And now when I do this thing, I'll be getting this answer. Okay. Now this is done when I want to erase only one value of x. This is something like clear x. Okay. If I want to remove everything, whatever I have done so far, what I can do is, now see, I can, even x is like that, right? If I write x, I'm getting x. If I write y, I'm going to get a number because y was defined as a number earlier. But if I really want to quit everything, I want to start afresh, I can simply tell that, okay, quit local kernel. Now see, kernel means it is the background which is not seen to us. We are working in the front end, we are having the interface of Mathematica, but when we throw a command to Mathematica, it is giving us some output. So in the background, that kernel is actually working. What we need to do is we are quitting the kernel. Quitting the kernel means it will not remember anything which we have done earlier now. Right? You can see here that when I quit it, this in, out, everything has gone away. Now if I write x, it is going to give me x, of course. When I give y, it is going to give me y. So y is also removed. Everything is lost now. Everything is gone. And it has started from input 1, output 1, and so on. Of course, when I save this notebook, it will be saved with all the sessions as seen here. Now, this is the most important thing. When you do this thing in MATLAB, you can never save this file along with the command that you have given. Okay. Now, so integrate that way is fine. Now, if I say that I don't want to write the integrate whole command, then normally whatever we want to do, for example, if I want to do differentiation. So differentiation means it is only D, not differentiate. Okay. So differentiate sine of x with respect to x. So it is going to give me cos x straight away. Okay. Now, suppose if I want to do numerical integration, right? So integrate is fine. Okay. Integrate, suppose let us say cos x cube, for example, right? With respect to x. So if I do this thing, it is going to give me some answer, of course, right? But suppose if I want to do this integration in certain range, then automatically it becomes something called numerical integration. Okay. So Control L is going to repeat the same last command. And what I am doing now is n integrate. You can see here, I was capital, n is also capital. And then I am now writing. Now, the moment I say that I want a numerical answer to this thing, that obviously means that now everything which I am writing here must be having some numerical input. So for that matter, definitely I have to provide here the range. So range, let us say I am giving from 0 to say 3, whatever. Right? So this is what I am writing, and then finally I'll be giving some number, I'll be getting some number. Okay. Now, For example, if I want to write down the same thing again, but with less number of or with large number of output values, right? So let us say I am writing 12 here. So it is okay. In this case, it is not happening. Let me put it this way. N I say 5, for example. If I write 5, that means it is going to take total 5 this thing. That means 4 decimal places. If I write 15, it is going to give me 15. If I write 150, it will give me 150 also. If I write 15,000, then also it will be giving me that. So not an issue at all as far as Mathematica is concerned, right? Suppose if I want to do a factorial of any number, 12 factorial. So 12 factorial means it will give me 12 factorial straight away. I don't need to write any code for iteratively multiplying the numbers up to 12, right? It is not needed. You can straight away write 12 factorial, it will give you 12 factorial. And for that matter, you can write 234 factorial, immediately it will give you this thing. You can try this thing in MATLAB, write a code for this thing. It will take some time to iteratively calculate this value and give you. Here, you can straight away go with that without any problem. Okay. Now, for example, suppose now if I want to go with other options, right? For example, I want to now give, okay, now I think you have got some flavor of Mathematica by now, right? Does it look interesting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us go back to our presentation and try to understand the things that we are discussing right now. Okay, so first thing which we need to do is shift plus enter is actually going to evaluate that cell. Okay, if I am writing x plus y and press shift and enter, it will be giving us the output. If I want to, okay, basic other things we will be doing little later. Now, what are the things that you can do in Mathematica? No doubt, I gave you only few commands which you can see that, okay, this is the way it works. For example, you can do standard arithmetic without any problem, right? You can do standard algebra, I already showed you. Okay, you can do basic 2D, 3D graphic, contour density plot, parametric plot, everything you can do as such. Even you can do animation. I'll just show you how to do that as well, right? I'm talking about a functional animation, right? Then you can do basic calculus, limits, differentiation, integration, all differential solving equation things. You can do numerical analysis straight away. And most important thing is that here you don't need to write a full code for that. Even a single line code will work in many cases. Many cases. For example, this root finding, for example. Okay. So suppose if I say that I am writing this thing to roots, right? Let us say ax square plus bx plus c double equal to 0. Now this is very important. Huh? When you are writing double equal to, that means it is double equal to means equation or equality. And when you write this thing, that means it is assignment. This is very, very important to understand. When I write x equal to 2, it means that it is x is equal to, it is basically assigning a value there, right? But when I write x is equal to double equal to 2, that means it's an equation. So Mathematica will treat it as an equation. And if you directly write it that way, it may give you some answer like true or false or something like that. Okay. So let us say I am trying to find out the roots of this thing and my variable is x. So this is the only thing you have to write and it will be giving you this thing. Now, I chose this thing because this is something which we already have. We already know this thing, right? From our school days, we remember that, okay, this is the formula for quadratic equations roots. Most important thing is that you are getting it by simply writing a simple command. And for that matter, even if this is cube, it will work. It will give you this thing. Of course, when you are seeing this thing, it is that imaginary iota. Okay. So, but when I want to write down this thing, I have to write it as I. Okay. So when I write I, it is basically square root of -1 as such, right? But you can find roots of this thing. You can expand anything, right? For example, a plus b. I was giving you this example, a plus b square. How do I write this 2 up? Control and cap, control and 6. So, okay, expand. Now remember, when I am writing expand, sorry, and this thing, I am writing the command. See, Mathematica always will have command, of course, command with first letter capital, then arguments will be in square brackets. All arguments will be in square brackets. Okay. So you are having this thing. So when I expand this thing, obviously it is going to give me a square plus 2ab plus b square. And for that matter, you can write here anything. You can write 12. It will give you that also. Not an issue. And it can be anything complicated. I am just giving you a flavor. Okay. Suppose if I write x is equal to 2, then it is going to give me 2. But if I write x double equal to 2, that means it is going to be working. So here it is assigned to x. Here it is now checking whether this equality is true or not. Suppose if I write x equal to 3, it will give me false. Why? Because x value is 2. Suppose if I write y is equal to 7, then it is going to give me 7. Why? Because it does not know what is y. So there is no question of comparing y with anything. Okay. So one has to understand this difference between equality and assignment. This is equality, this is assignment. Of course, equality does not mean that it should be equal. Equality means it will treat that thing as an equation. Most importantly. Okay. Now, suppose if you don't remember what is the command that you will be using for that and so on, you can always write down, okay, if I want to do integration, definitely it will be integrate only, right? So what should we do? We have to write question mark I star and shift enter. So it is going to give me all the commands that start from I. Okay. Suppose if I want to write IN star, it will be giving me all the commands that are definitely starting with IN. Okay. Or if I have an idea that, okay, it can be integrate only. So I will be writing question integrate, then it is going to give me this thing. What is happening? Okay, T is remaining. So this is the way your integration works. Okay, I'll just close this thing for the time being, then we'll open it again. Okay. So when I am giving this integration, now you can see here in multiple ways you can do this integration. Okay. You are having integrate, and most important thing is, for example, if I write integrate, right? For example, x or let us say sine x into e to the power minus x, right? With respect to x. So it will be giving me some, okay, again the same issue. I have to remove the value of x from there, then only it can happen. Okay, so this is the output. Now, when I say that, okay, I want to do this integration with x as a limit, I know the lower limit. Let us say I know the lower limit to be a. I don't know the upper limit. Or let us say I know the limit, lower limit a. I don't know the upper limit. So I am putting this thing as b. So even this thing also it will be able to handle. This is most important. See, you can mix these things. You can also tell that, okay, I want to have it with limits of a and b. If I want, I can have this thing with limits of 0 to b or whatever it is, right? And if I want, I can give it directly like this and it will be giving me some answer. But obviously, when you get this kind of answers, what should you do? You should tell that, okay, I want this thing as a number. So /n. If you do this thing, it will be giving you a number as the output. Okay? No doubt. There are multiple ways of doing this thing. If I write it this way and /n, it automatically means an integrate, right? So if I don't put this /n here, and if I put n here, it is going to remain the same. Okay. Another thing, if you want, you can use those palettes. Okay. You can use these palettes. For example, I will be going in this one. I will say that, okay, I want to do this thing. So what is the lower limit? I'll say A. What is the upper limit? I'll say B. What is the expression? Let us put it exactly this thing. Okay. So a template is coming to you. You are given that, okay, this is the way you can write, and what is the variable? X. Now this looks very familiar to us. Of course, this is also not that much complex, but this is very familiar to us now, that, okay, this is the way we normally write down this thing. Okay, this is the way we can write down this thing. So I have identified, and now this is the answer. Okay, if I want, I can obviously change these values and will give you the answer. So multiple things are there. Suppose if I want to do partial differentiation, so if I want, I can definitely do the x square with respect to x, right? So it is going to give me 2x. Fine. But I can also do this thing dx square, let us say y, with respect to this thing. So it is giving me this. Okay. But if I want, I can put it in this way also. So this is partial differentiation. Okay. So partial differentiation means, suppose if I want to write down, say here variable is x, and here I want to write, say, x plus y, then also this is perfectly all right. It is going to give you this thing. It will not touch rest of the things, but it will be simply giving me this one. Okay. If I want, in fact, I should be writing here in this one. So this is the way it will work. Fine. So there are many more symbolic things available, many what you can say uh, basic stuff you can do, many advanced stuff you can do, but this is just a flavor of Mathematica in that sense. Okay. So I just showed you that you can find roots directly, you can do curve fitting directly, that also we will see. Suppose if you are writing something in Mathematica and if you want that, okay, I want to convert that thing into a Fortran code, that also can be done. Of course, you cannot convert a symbolic kind of thing, but whenever you are getting numerical output, you can convert that thing into a Fortran code, right? There are plugins available where you can convert that code into a MATLAB code as well. Okay, there are multiple basic programming things available, right? Now, in MATLAB, you can make it into a standalone executable code, right? In Mathematica, it is not that straightforward, but that also is a possibility as such, right? That means you have written a code, and now you don't want to share your source code with anybody. You try to make a binary out of that thing, and somebody will run that code for you. Okay, so that is something which one has to see. Okay. Now, what is the structure? As I already told you, kernel is something which is working behind. When you are giving some input in the front end, it will be thrown to the kernel. Kernel will identify this thing and it will again give it back to you. There are some standard packages available. It is not necessary that whatever you write will be directly available in Mathematica. You have to use certain packages in many cases, and those packages will be used to solve your problem, or to what you can say, uh, evaluate the things which you have given. You can do lot much what you can say, uh, large number of different tensor analyses, and many other things can be done, even analytically as well as numerically. Okay. Now, as I already told you, there is something called Web Mathematica, but now it is basically cloud computing, which we can use. I'll show you how it is done. Another thing we can do is we can go to Wolfram website and we can directly run those things there in their website. For example, we can go to, let us say, where is that? Oh, let us go to this thing, demonstrations wolfram.com. Right? So one can go to demonstrations, and there are many demonstrative things available. Okay. So you can see here that, okay, what kind of demonstrations do you want? So let us say that physical sciences, for example, right? So in physical sciences, you have got these options available. So let us say we will go with, say, astronomy, for example. Okay. So in astronomy, whether you want to go with what, so let us go with solar system. This is not my topic. I am just jumping into it. Huh? Okay. So now these are the things which people have written and made it available to you. Okay. For example, what is how the earth as seen from the moon? Okay. Oh, that is of not much use to you. Solar energy yield for 3 mounting systems. Okay. Tilt of the earth. Let us go with this one. Okay. So there are many things available. You can even download this thing and run in your Mathematica. So you can have a source code of this system, and then you can work with that. Even you can create your own such animation, and then it will be working for you. Okay. So let us say it is still initializing. Oh, it is continuously changing. Download to desktop, copy to clipboard. Okay. What we can do is, let us not go with this one. Let us go with some other one. This. Let us say, chalo, let us. Solar system Mandela. This is something which looks interesting just by looking at the graph it displays, right? What we can do is we can download it to the desktop. Let us download it. Okay. It is CDF. So they have put it as a CDF. Source. Okay. Download to desktop. This is the source. See, earlier was a CDF. So it is basically computable document format. Okay. So what I am doing is I am simply downloading this thing, and I will open this thing in Mathematica. So this is something which we have downloaded from their website. Now you can see here. This is what I was talking about, the notebook. You can see this is the way it was written. Okay. Now let us now run this thing. So evaluate notebook. So it will evaluate the notebook, and it is now going to give us this output. Okay. Now see here. Here, if I change this thing, it is actually changing the graph here. Even we can also create similar demonstration or animation, right? But what is the basic idea? We can download this thing. In fact, you can see the code which is written for this. So this is the code. Okay. And that code is going to give you this kind of output, and you can manipulate this thing. For example, one of my favorite example is this thing. Let me open that first. I should open that thing in Mathematica where I'm opening. This one. Now see, this is a code which is basically giving you an idea about how to use the so-called manipulate function. what it is doing is, it is basically drawing a spherical plot 3D, right? Which is drawing the spherical harmonics, okay? And it is basically trying to do this thing. Okay, let me first make a simpler one for you, and then we'll be going back with that. So, okay, let us close this one for the time being. Don't save. Okay. Let us put it here, not an issue. For example, let us say plot sin x, okay, and then, or maybe sin x into cos x. Let us make it little more 3D kind of stuff. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm having say x running from minus pi to pi, and y running from again minus pi to pi. Okay, and when I plot this thing, obviously, what has happened? Okay, again the same issue. Oh, not the same issue. Plot 3D it is, no? So this is plot 3D, and so it is my what we can say. This is my simple graph of sin x into cos y. Now, suppose if I want to do something called manipulation. Manipulation means not in the bad sense. Manipulation means if I want to change, sometimes what we want is we want to see the functional form of something. So what I want is I want to manipulate only x part. So if I change only x, what will happen? Okay. So I will say that, okay, if I change only x, right, by some factor, let us say I am putting it as c, for example. Okay, so what I am doing is I am now going to simply change the value of c. So c will run from say 0 to, let us say 1, for example, or 2 maybe. Okay, so this is how I use this manipulate. So what it will do, it will plot this thing with 0 value first, and then it is going to give me a c here. See this. What I can do is I can choose the value of c, and it is going to demonstrate that if I change the value of c, what is going to happen. And if I want, I can always play this thing as an animation. So suppose, for example, this is the animation of, if I change the value of c, which is the argument of sin cx, right? How the graph is changing. So sometimes these functional animations are very important for us. Okay, if you want, you can always again tell that, okay, I want this thing to be at bottom of this as well, right? Run it. Oh, it cannot be 0 in that case, right? So let us say 1. Okay. And now let us run it again. So you can see that if I change that thing, in what way it goes. So sometimes it happens that we are trying to solve a problem. We have got some visualization of how the function should change, but we are struggling to find which parameter will change the function in what way. Here you can visually check that, okay, this is the way the function is changing when I put my c value here or there, when I put the weightage of c in some or the other case. Obviously, we can do this thing, right? And you can stop anytime and it will be finally resolving this thing. Of course, when you run it that way, very obviously it is not running it fully because of the speed required. Okay, but you can always find such things. Okay, if you want, even this also can be different. You can have multiple inputs. For example, I want to put this thing as t, and now this t is going from 1 to say 4, for example. If I run this thing, I will have both of them. Okay. So I can say that my t value is like this, my c value is like this. So in what way I can change this? That also, so one particular value I can play. I'll feel that, okay, this is the fine thing for me. Now I will choose this one, and it will be deciding that, okay, which value of c I want. I'll say, okay, this is the what I want. and then I will be finally identifying these numbers, right? And I will be using in my calculation and check whether it is actually serving the purpose that I wanted or not. So this manipulation thing is used for such kind of thing. But another example which I would like to ask you is that, okay, now that thing has gone. Okay. See, when suppose we are talking about spherical harmonics, what it shows is, suppose if I say that I am having 1s, then it is this thing. Suppose if I have two, matlab YLM, I'm talking about L and M values, right? Then in one case it is showing like this, in the other case it is showing like this. Now, as such, we feel that, okay, these are two spheres, one over the above, and this looks like one sphere, matlab two spheres side by side. But actually, it is not the case. I'll just demonstrate it to you. So this is again the same thing. And this is for spherical harmonics. I can show you this, right? So this is the whole closing. What I have done is I have now changed that C to this thing. I am simply changing the range in which I am plotting it. Okay. So let us stop it here. Let me YLM. So if it is 1, 0, it is going to give me this thing. So very obviously, this is something which is very good to demonstrate, right? Say Y10. So this obviously is a sphere above the sphere without any doubt. But the moment I want to go for say Y11, then in most cases, what is shown in your textbook is this angle. But we never feel that it's a donut. But when you have such functionality available, you can feel that, okay, it's a donut actually. So if it is Y10 and Y11, so Y10 is something which is obviously a sphere above the sphere, but Y11 is not a sphere beside the sphere. It is something else. So this kind of visualization is very important when you are trying to play with the functions. When you say that, okay, this is the way I want to use my output. Okay. So this is it. Fine. If you have any questions so far, if you feel that, okay, this is looking interesting, then see, what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to show what are the things you can do. Of course, it is not at all a possible thing to put everything which you can do with Mathematica in maybe 2 or 3 or 5 lectures as such, right? It can be a full course as it is. It might be a full year course maybe, if you really want to learn everything which you can do with Mathematica. Even I also know only a very small part of that, which I use for my work. Okay. There might be many other things which we may not be using, but that is the way we normally work. Whatever we feel that we want to use, that only we will explore and try to run those things, right? So functional animations are very much possible without any problem. Okay. There is something called CDF. That means just like PDF, there is a CDF. CDF means you have got a CDF player from Mathematica. CDF player, right? What it can do is, without even using Mathematica full-fledged version, you can download a CDF file from Mathematica portal or anywhere else, right? And you can run it. Of course, you cannot change any input in that. Fine. You cannot change the code. You cannot alter the code, but you can always use this thing as a player. Okay. So those kind of things are available freely. You can use them. And just to close this particular talk, these are the things that you have to keep in mind when you are working with Mathematica, right? Most of the things we have taken, some things we will be talking in the next session. First thing is, Mathematica is case sensitive, right? This is something which is very important to understand. And you might have already got that idea that if I write sine of x, then it takes it. If I write sine of x, it won't take. Even if I write sine of x like that, it won't take. It will not understand this thing. But if I write this thing, this is the function, this is the argument. Arguments are always written in square brackets, right? So they all start, Mathematica, all commands, their built-in functions, everything, they will start with capital letter. right? For example, and when I was writing pi, I was writing like pi. Okay. You can use symbols also, right? If you really want, okay, I want to use rho in my calculation, I want to use sigma in my calculation, I want to use psi. You can use all these things in Mathematica thing without any problem. Even if you write psi1, it will work. It is possible to write that way. Okay. Then typically what is normally done is we use lowercase letters for defining variables. Why? Because if I use uppercase, there is a good chance that it might be a function in Mathematica and it can get confused, right? For example, if I want to define my plot, I will write it as a plot, because if I write it as plot, it is getting confused with plot function. For me, plot is okay. It's a variable. I am defining some plot to be something like that. But if I write capital P, curly brackets, as we have seen just now, are used for range and making tables and sets and other things that we'll be talking about little later. This is the only thing which we can use directly for our purpose. We cannot use square bracket or curly braces for our calculations or our stuff. We can always group them only using these parameters or parentheses. Again, this double brackets, this is something which we have not seen, but I will be talking about this thing in the next session. But this is basically index. This is index. Okay. So when you are, suppose if I want to write x of 1, then it has to be written as this thing. It looks obviously very much complicated, but it looks like that. Of course, if you want, you can always decide this thing in such a way that it will be displaying it as x1. That also we will check in the next session. Then all functions for numerical calculations will start with n. This is something which I showed you in case of integration, but similar thing happens in most of the cases, right? If you want to write notes or remarks, you can always start and end with this thing. Whatever you write in between this thing will not be read by Mathematica for execution of your code, right? And whenever Mathematica explains an error, it prints a message, and normally that message will have some helpful thing which we can start with. Of course, Mathematica's own what you can say help is very much elaborative, and again it will be a part of your notebook when you try to use that thing as a command. If you want, you can delete those things. If you want, you can keep those things. But whatever you have done in the whole session, you can save it in a notebook. Literally, it's a notebook. Okay. For example, whatever we have done so far, right? Whatever we have done so far, I can, where is that? Whatever we have done so far, I can literally save this thing as such. So next time when we meet, I can tell that, okay, this is what we had discussed. It is like board work saved for you. Okay. So suppose if I save this file, I'll save it as, okay, let us save this thing just to, okay. So October 2021. So this is a file saved. Now, how doesn't matter at what time I am opening this file, I will be getting it as it is, and then I can execute, modify whatever I want. I can use this file anytime, right? So I think just to get a basic flavor of Mathematica, we required 1.5 hours, right? But does it sound interesting to you?
Yes, sir, definitely very helpful.
Okay. So what we can do is, I think now it is a time to close for us, and we'll be meeting in the next session. When is the next session? I think it is at 2:30.
2:30.
Yes, sir. 2:30, sir.
Okay, okay. So at 2:30 we'll be meeting again. And what I expect from you is, if you have some specific problems, right, or some issues that, okay, this is something which I want to solve in my problem or my case, then that will be a better way to get into Mathematica. Means you come up with your problem and we'll try to approach the problem. Of course, we cannot solve the problem in this much short time in most cases, but we'll try to approach that problem with Mathematica if that is the case. But try to bring a problem which is probably analytical in nature, maybe, right? Or it can be anything else also as such, not an issue, right? But what I want is, if you come up with problems, then